It's pretty hot outside today, but I still wanted to enjoy my garden and get a few things done. So I looked for gardening tasks that I could split into small steps. That way I could do a little outside, then cool off indoors and come back later for the next task. This way I can still enjoy the garden without overdoing it in the heat. A while back at the Hortus in the Netherlands, I got myself a cutting of a geranium. The foliage looked beautiful, the cutting has rooted nicely, and today's task is to plant it out. The great thing about planting out is that you can split it into steps. That's perfect if you want to go inside in between for some cooling off. Step 1. Fill the pot with soil. Next, I use an empty pot, the same size as the pot where the geranium cutting is now. This trick makes planting so much easier. It creates a hole exactly the right size, so I can transfer the plant in one go. I try to place the empty pot right in the middle before I fill in more soil. For the next step, I make a detour to my worm bin. I want the soil where the geranium will grow to be extra rich, full of minerals and life. So I collect some finished worm castings from the bottom of the bin. I add this right where the root will sit. I'll put my worm compost right here, exactly where my geranium will be planted later. The roots will be roughly at this depth. This way the plant gets a little boost to root and grow strongly. Hopefully I'll see the reward later this summer in beautiful blooms. It's a surprise what flowers I'll get, since this cutting was one I swapped. Before planting, I add some water to check if the soil level will sink down once it gets moist. I use rainwater. I don't have a rain barrel, but I always try to collect as much rainwater as possible in buckets when it rains heavily, so I have some on hand. Now comes the moment that shows why I always use an empty pot. The empty pot is the exact same size as the pot the plant came from. Since the plant roots take the shape of the pot, this trick makes the fit perfect. I remove the empty pot and now there is a hole the exact size of the root ball. I place the plant right in, cover with a bit of extra soil and it's done. This week I won't be planting too much, so I see I have more than enough worm castings to use for myself and to share. For me, gardening is all about sharing. An empty milk jug works perfectly as a container, so I will fill one with worm castings to share with my neighbors, who also help me with composting. One neighbor gave me a bottle of homemade flower syrup, so the empty bottle goes back to her. And as a thank you, I add a licorice plant cutting, agastache, plus some worm castings for all the green waste she brings to my worm bin. Gardening together is so much more fun. As my last task, I check my worm bin again. I saw the bottom was very dry. That means the worms have left to find more moist spots, leaving mostly woodlice at work here. Since the worms do most of the composting, I want them back down here. I'm going to remove the dry parts now and sift everything thoroughly. I'll take out the usable worm compost and the largest pieces will go back in the worm bin. I usually sift worm compost in 2 stages. First, to remove the larger pieces. I moisten those and return them to the worm bin. Then I use a fine sieve to extract only the refined worm compost. now have a container with large pieces that can go back into the worm bin. It had dried out so much that the worms had moved away. I'm moistening it now to make it nice and damp again, so the worms will return. Apparently, I had more than enough brown, dry material in my worm bin, so it's fine to add moisture. This way, the worms will come back to these spots and start producing worm composts for me again. I'm very curious to see how this geranium cutting will bloom. It's always exciting to swap cuttings and then grow them into your own plants. If you're interested in swapping cuttings, I made a video about how it works at the Hortus here in the Netherlands. That's the only swap I've been to so far, with tips on how you can prepare your own cuttings for a plant swap. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to give a like if you enjoyed my video and subscribe for more gardening videos.